please, 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 for the love of God, can the Bears beat Matt Eberflus? The Bears must beat their former head coach, and we're going to tell you how that can happen here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. We've been spamming it all week. Let's not stop now. Get the Beat Flus chants going in the comment section of this video. We got to beat Matt Eberflus. We need to beat Matt Eberflus. Let's get it done on Sunday as the Bears host the Cowboys. As of filming this late on Thursday, so depending on when you're watching this, the line's probably shifted some. It's flipped. It was Bears minus 1.5. Now it's Cowboys minus 1.5. I don't know how much of that is just money coming in on Dallas. Jalen Johnson obviously not playing in this game. Injury stuff this week. Vegas is predicting a close game one way or the other. I, for one, predicted 34-31 Bears. I know that's really high scoring, but that might be what it takes for Chicago to win this game. A couple of notes in terms of the preparation from Flus this week. There's been reports that Eberflus has been sitting in on Cowboys offensive meetings this week to offer tips on some of the Bears defensive personnel. Obviously, it's a different scheme with Dennis Allen, but he coached a lot of these guys for at least 1 year, if not multiple years. So that's kind of standard. I'm not surprised by that. Flus obviously knows a lot of these defensive guys very well when it comes to some of the players still playing ball on the Chicago Bears defense. Now, a few of those guys are out, like Jalen Johnson's not playing, Kyler Gordon's likely not playing, TJ Edwards not playing, all that stuff. But 6 starters or expected starters this week that did play under Eberflus: Tyreek Stevenson, Jaquan Brisker, Kevin Byard, Tremaine Edmonds, Javon Dexter, Montez Sweat. Most of those guys he had for multiple years. Byard was the only one that he had for just the one season. So, yeah, I would expect Matt Eberflus to offer some input to Brian Schottenheimer and that offensive staff and personnel on some of the tendencies that these defensive players do have. Now, Ben Johnson was asked about that this week. We'll get to that quote in a second. Ben Johnson first was asked about just going up against Matt Eberflus in general and said, make no mistake about it. It was one of the more challenging defense we faced when I was in Detroit. We struggled to run the ball at times. Really good red zone defense. That was something Flus was always good at. Remember last year, a lot of the time they would just drive straight down, but then he forced a field goal. So that was something that he always did do well here, is clamping down in the red zone. And, it kind of makes sense with that bend, don't break style, clamp down once teams get into scoring range. I kind of did just a deep dive into the Johnson versus Eberflus matchups when Flus was the coach here. So in the first game in 2022, and remember, the Bears roster that year was not great. In week 1, 31 points, or week 10, 31 points, over 300 yards for Detroit. Week 17, just a bloodbath, 41 points, 504 yards for Detroit. 2023, 31 points, 338 yards in week 11. Week 14, that was the best job Flus and the Bears did. They actually crushed Detroit that week, 28-13. 13 points given up for Eberflus and 267 yards. Really good performance from the Bears defense. And then last year in the 2 matchups, 23 points, 405 yards. That was the infamous Thanksgiving performance. A little skewed on the points. Remember, the Lions, I think they got stopped on a 4th down in the red zone. They missed a field goal. 400 yards, 23 points doesn't really equate. And then when Flus was gone, so this one can't really hold against them, but 34 points, 475 yards. Wanted to include that one because it's the same defense. You're not changing defenses just because Eberflus wasn't there. So I wanted to compare and contrast, because I had the note at the bottom there as well, that basically 28.3 points per game allowed in those 6 contests, 385 yards. Well, I compared it to what Detroit averaged in all of their games under Ben Johnson from 2022 to 2024, 28.9 points per game. So basically flat. So yeah, like Eberflus's defense probably performed better than some that Ben Johnson faced, but clearly performed worse than some as well, as it was basically about the same. But there definitely were a couple performances where the Bears matched up well against Detroit defensively. Now, Ben Johnson also added this in terms of, Matt Eberflus knowing Caleb Williams' tendencies as well. He said, we've got guys in the building that know how his mind works too, talking about Eberflus. So we have some information on just schematically how he liked to approach my offense in general and his feelings on Caleb. I feel like we know what he knows and we'll be just fine there. The reality is I'm not sure how much it matters Obviously, like Johnson's going to know some schematical things that Eberflus is going to do. Eberflus is going to know some schematical things. Schematical, definitely not a word. That the Bears are going to do, but both are in new situations. Ben Johnson's coaching all new players. Matt Eberflus is coaching all new players. So other than just little tidbits here and there, I'm not sure how much of a difference it makes in the actual outcome. But it's just kind of an interesting chess match that is going to be taking place, especially from a storyline perspective on the outside, which is why we're saying, please, let's beat Matt Eberflus. All right, coming up, I will tell you how the Bears can beat Flus and Dallas in this matchup on Sunday afternoon. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor, Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy at prizepicks.com/CLNS. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Football is back and better than ever, and I'm firing off Prize Picks lineups every single week. Got an example of a lineup right here, as Prize Picks is offering a max discount for Patrick Mahomes of more than half a passing yard this week. I've made it a three-player lineup. Caleb Williams, more than 218.5 passing yards. Dak Prescott, more than 250.5 passing yards. $20 entry to win $105 on this one. That's just one of many examples. 2 to 6 player lineups is what you do on Prize Picks, and you pick more or less on the stat projections. And on certain lineups, you can win up to 2,000 times your money. You can also use the flex play, which Prize Picks invented, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, how to beat the Flus. Challenge Kaiir Elam. I assume he's going to start again this week, especially with Deron Bland not healthy. I don't think he's going to go. He leads the NFL with 232 passing yards allowed. Now, he started chirping on Twitter saying, these PFF stats, they don't know the context of every play. And look, that's obviously true. PFF, they can only go based on what their interpretation of the play. So it's certainly possible that some of these yards being attributed to him aren't necessarily his fault. Same with Tyreek Stevenson, who's given up a perfect passer rating so far. It's a bit of a skewed stat because he's only given up 7 completions in 2 games, so he's not getting targeted every play all the time. But the reality is Kaiir Elam is not playing that well. That's a guy who's been a career backup, first-round pick with Buffalo, total bust. That's a guy you should take advantage of, whether it's a one-on-one matchup with DJ Moore, Rome Odunze. If you get him matched up in the slot with somebody, Zacchaeus, Burdner, if Rome or DJ's lining up in the slot. If you get a one-on-one with Kaiir Elam, which, again, Flus is going to run a lot of zone, but you should find opportunities to exploit that matchup. And really a lot of matchups in general against that secondary. Trayvon Diggs has been fine, but coming off a couple injury-riddled years, he doesn't seem quite the same player as he was a few years ago. Donovan Wilson's been struggling at safety. I think there's big plays to be had. Now, to be clear, and everybody, especially if Caleb doesn't put up huge numbers, is going to freak out. Russell Wilson threw for 450. Dallas had about 5 coverage busts last week. I would imagine Flus gets that cleaned up, but that doesn't mean there aren't going to be opportunities to generate some explosives in this game. Speaking of this game, subscribe and join us. We will be live at 2 o'clock Central on Sunday ahead of a 3:25 kickoff. So long pregame show getting you ready for the game, and then we'll, of course, have live play-by-play reactions and a postgame show as well. Big game, trying to get the first one of the year. Hopefully you'll join us. All right, number 2, we said it last week. I'm going to keep saying it. You got to find some success on the ground with the running backs. Caleb's had some nice scrambles, especially in week 1, but you got to be able to run the football, man. We've all seen that stat this week that the Bears are first in yards before contact with their running backs. They're like 31st and 32nd in rushing success, depending on the service that's compiling that data. That means that DeAndre Swift, who's gotten the bulk of the carries, is leaving a lot on the table. So whether that means he's got to play better, clearly he does, or if you give other opportunities, Roschon Johnson, Kyle Monangai some carries, that's what you got to do because you're leaving a lot out there. And Dallas is 23rd in the NFL in rush defense, 121 yards per game allowed. DeAndre Swift, he's just – I said it in the offseason. I think in a 1-2 punch, if he's one of those two, especially a 2, he offers some things because he catches the ball well. In space, he's a good player. He can hit the home run. But just from a down-to-down perspective, he's not very good in pass pro, and he doesn't hit the hole consistently. He's not going to run over guys. Like, he's not a physical presence. I think you got to give someone else a look. And the first guy I would look at is Kyle Monungai. Short yardage, I would give Roshan Johnson some opportunities. I think in general, you can't just go heavy DeAndre Swift and then just kind of a small mixture of the other guys. Like, I would go Swift and the other guys 50-50 split at least. So we'll see if they do that this week. That's one of my changes I mentioned on our previous video, taking a look at some changes I would make. Number 3, we talked about this on the initial preview video. Keep Caleb Williams clean. When clean in week 2 against Detroit, which is a stat PFF compiles basically not under pressure, whether it's a blitz or just with the opposing team's defensive front, really good. 18 of 25, 199, both his touchdown passes. Pass grade of over 90 per PFF, which is excellent. Dallas doesn't have murderer's row pass rush. 4 sacks in 2 games, it's been fine. That's kind of par for the course for Eberflus. He doesn't want to blitz a lot. 26 pressures, kind of middle of the pack. I think this offensive line, which hasn't been up to snuff in terms of what the Bears are paying this group, but I think has been at least better than what it was last year. They should be able to deliver clean pockets, especially when Eberflus isn't blitzing. So I think that's something that if the Bears can do, Caleb should be able to deliver the football. Now, Jadeveon Clowney is now in the mix, and he is expected to play in this game. I'll be curious to see, A, how big of a role he has, and B, if he does make some headway in this game. And if he does, I'm not going to be happy because this is a guy that I would have brought in. But that's neither here nor there, but worth mentioning a new player that's in the mix on the Cowboys defensive front. Okay, number 4, generate explosives. Did you know that the Chicago Bears are tied for second in the NFL in explosive plays with 16? And Twitter being lazy, people were replying to me because I tweeted out that stat. Well, it's easy when you're trailing constantly garbage time. Really? Because they led for the majority of the game in week 1, so that's a fake narrative. And in week 2, anyone that watched the game knows that most of their big plays were in the first half, a.k.a. when the game was still a game. I think 3 of the 16, maybe 4, because I think Monungai had a 10-yard run in garbage time. 3 or 4 of the 16 were in the second half against Detroit, and I think one of them was on the second drive of the second half, so it's not like the game was over. So less than 20% of these 16 explosives have been, quote-unquote, in garbage time. So what does that tell you? Well, Ben Johnson can scheme things up, and the Bears are actually doing some good things offensively if they can eliminate the small things, penalties, etc. Now, big plays are defined, explosives are defined as 10-plus yard runs and 20-plus yard passes. 9 of them are runs. I think 3 or 4 of those are the Caleb scrambles. 7 are passes. So yeah, let's, DeAndre Swift has ripped off a couple big ones. The problem is on a lot of these other runs, he's not giving you much. But continue to generate explosives and stop shooting yourself in the foot on these drives, because if you do, chances are you're going to find some more. And I think there's a chance to find some vertically against Dallas's defense, because the Cowboys in their first 2 games have given up 4 catches of 48 or more yards. Now, again, 3 of those 4 were last week against Russell Wilson and the Giants, and a couple of those were just clear busts. So you can't bank on coverage busts, but A, when there is one, you got to take advantage. And B, Dallas' secondary is not playing that well right now. So unless they play a lot better this week, you should find some opportunities down the field. Okay, lastly, utilize the tight ends. Dallas has given up 12 catches to tight ends through 2 weeks. The Bears, despite running the 4th most 2 tight end sets, are not throwing to the tight ends much. And Ben Johnson has explained in week 1, a lot of that was the game plan, using Loveland and Kmet as pass protectors. In week 2, and he even acknowledged this week, I just have to get these guys more involved. That's on me. So I would expect, A, given the matchup, because the Cowboys linebacker play and safety Donovan Wilson has not been very good this year, that should be an opportunity for Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland to get some work in the middle of the field. and B, they've given up 12 catches. Now, to Dallas's credit, I think it's 12 catches for like 80 yards, so they haven't given up a lot of explosives. Again, kind of classic Flus, right? Like he'll let you dink and dunk, but they're trying to eliminate big plays, even though they did give up some deep in their secondary. But I think this should be a game where between Kmet and Loveland, they have 5 catches combined in 2 games. Should at least get 5 catches combined in this game, if not more. All right, there you have it. Some ways to take down the Flus. Predict the score in this one. Bears, Cowboys, America's Game of the Week on Fox. Again, we will be live 2 o'clock Central Time on Sunday. If you're watching this on Sunday, today, 2 o'clock Central Time. And we'll get you ready for kickoff at 3:25. Drop your score predictions. I got the Bears 34-31.